All right. Hey, everybody. It's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. Thought I would wake up with you lovely people and, to get some conversations going. So, it's only going to be on the YouTube because the Facebook is not letting me do lives. I guess I did too many lives in one week or a month. So, just in here with you people. Right? We'll get a community tab post up here in a minute. There we go. First viewer in. Well, there was a viewer, but it's going to take a moment. What's it doing? Doesn't want to start my super chat goal. We're having all sorts of bugs and errors. Let's see if we can resolve this. I don't know what the deal is. Let everybody know. This takes a minute to warm up. Why is it not starting my super chat goal? I don't know. We'll come back and try again in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of posting, get woken up, and we'll wait for some of you lovely people to come in here. All right. So, come up with some other statuses and stuff. Interestingly enough, it hasn't hurt me in any way to not have any lives the last couple days on the Facebook. I don't know. Maybe too many of them is not good for the doggo. It's actually ticking back up. But I don't know why it's not letting me start my super chat going. All right. Don't know what the deal is. Oh well. But yeah, as soon as you guys get in here, let's get some comments, conversations, good mornings. Maybe a community tab post will help. Let's get a post up. All right. A few more people in. Slowly but surely filling it. I gotta blow my nose. I do that off camera. Oh. Never know how these are gonna go. Sometimes, man, we get like 5 people commenting in the first minute. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes to get anybody in. It's really strange. Even my regulars, they don't see it. Like, yeah, I was waiting around. It never popped up. It just popped up a minute ago. And I'm like 15, 20 minutes in. Like, what? I don't know. I've never gotten a pop up. So I don't know how alerts work. I have no clue how YouTube alerts work. I've never gotten a YouTube alert in my entire life for anything. And I've been making content for 13 plus years, I guess, at this point. I've never gotten an alert. So I don't even know where they appear. Yeah, but early, not really. Not that early. I'm doing good. No, I slept in late a lot some of the last times though because I just needed it. The training for some reason. For a few of those days I hit PRs. I just sleep longer naturally sometimes. You know, I just sleep naturally. Especially those days I've got the deadlift PRs and squat PRs and things. My body's just like it needs the rest, but I'm doing good. We took yesterday off completely from training. So I'm hoping I get a nice, good workout today. once the sun is up. But I'm going to chill with you guys in here for a bit. And hopefully we get good conversations going. How you doing, Rufio? All right. Yeah. Rufio, were you part of that vote yesterday? Were you in when it's basically, I think the way I want to approach personal questions is ignore them. And if the person doesn't get the hint and they keep asking it, then block them. Right? Because that's the only problem with ignoring questions. People are really weird. If you ignore their question, they'll spam it. They think that you didn't read it. Like they don't get the nuance of it. It's very, very strange. Instead of realizing, hey, maybe he's trying to be nice and not ban me, he just ignored my question. Oh. Although to be fair, I'm in here so much, I do have a bad habit of revealing more personal stuff than I should, even though I don't want my personal life in here. So there's a fine balance to be had of having conversations, without things coming up that cause people to want to dig further, and that's the problem, right? And I'm literally only that way because I have stalkers, and I don't think people realize how bad they are. I think they're actually clueless. I don't think they quite grasp the full totality of it. Like they literally don't believe that I've been inside the FBI building a couple times over it. But it looks like some of them may have really goofed up bad this time. Yeah, that's the thing with all of it too. Stuff like that. Laws are catching up, and AI is actually going to be the thing. It looks like may fix a lot of just the problems on the internet with anonymity and cyber stalkers and stuff. Right? It's lack of manpower. But AI kind of bridges the gap. Yeah. What's up, EJ? So how are you guys doing? Let's get some conversations going, guys. We've had no conversations, and we're 8 minutes in. Limitless. Good morning, Coach. Got that coffee ready? Always, man. I've always got that coffee ready. I'm not even getting in here till it's ready. Although I need to do further research again on the LDL and French presses. I did a French press for years and years. I did a French press forever. I say that, and then it's so hard dealing with people in multiple countries because every country has a different name for every device and object in the world. It's even in English. So, like what I would have to say for Rufio, I'd have to say a plunger, which I don't know why they call a French press a plunger. A plunger is what you use in the toilet here. You clean your toilet with a plunger. You can stop it. At my first gym session after 1 month sickness, should I train as usual or should I be a bit gentle? I think you already know the answer to that question, Limitless. I'm going to tell you right now, if I missed 2 weeks, there's no way I could replicate one of my workouts. It's not even physically possible. Now, I'm going to give you some tough love. If you spent a month out of the gym and you're able to come in and replicate what you normally do, you have not been training. Like you've just been showing up at the gym pretty much playing with yourself. Right? If you haven't lost significant performance and work capacity in a month, you weren't really doing anything to begin with. So I don't know the answer to your question, Limitless. Like, how do you actually train? And I hate to use the word training hard because I don't think training is that hard. Like people make it. I have a strong dislike of this. I'm going to war, beast mode mindset that dudes put out there. They act like lifting weights is hard, like it's a leisure activity, you know. I know it's silly is then you say that and then you get people who they make assumptions. Well, maybe you just don't try. Have you ever tried the Dorian Yates blood? And yes, that's how I used to train when I was younger for a while. I've done the whole rest, pause, forced reps to failure with big movements using spotters and right because everybody trained like that. That was the trend, right? So as in right now, you look at influencers doing whatever 6 to 8 reps on machines is the current trend. When I was younger, like the Dorian Yates type training, even DC training and stuff like that was becoming the trends. This is how everybody trained, right? And I'm saying it's just not that hard. Or I remind you guys, when I first started out, we did Widowmaker squats, like the breathing squats. That was normal. Like if you were overdoing Widowmaker squats at the gym, no one was going, "Oh, that's insane. That's crazy. Oh my God." They're just like, "Yeah, dude, you're putting in good work. Good job." You know. And for those who don't understand Widowmaker squats, you take your 10 to 12 rep squat max, you do a set with a rep in reserve, and you keep the bar on your back, and you try to get to 20 reps. You take as long as you need between every rep. Deep breaths. If you need 5 or 6 seconds between reps, you keep going until you either try to hit 20 or you get stapled. Okay. Where I lived, that was a normal, regular training approach. That was a standard workout. We called them Widowmakers, or they called them breathing squats. Think about your silly. Everything. Driving to the gym is dangerous. You could get hit by in an accident. You could trip and fall over a dumbbell in the weight room. Maybe if you have a congenital, undiagnosed heart defect, a Widowmaker could be dangerous. If you don't train with safety arms, it could be dangerous. Right? You do it with something stupid like knee wraps, you could cause a quad tear. Right? It's just working out, dude. Morning, coach. What's up, Calvin? So again, it's the context of the training culture I came up in. That was what was in vogue. And then we eventually learned you just don't have to train that hard as we did to get 100% results. But that's what we were being told. Keep in mind the Dorian Yates era. When the reigning Mr. Olympia is saying this is how you have to train, and then that becomes the culture. Same thing. What about Dante? Let me see when Dante's dog crap training. I'm curious what year did he put that out? Because I could be wrong. That could have been later. But I felt like it was in vogue at the time. And I don't know why I'm thinking that. Let me see. Let me see if I know when DC training really hit. First written in the mid-1990s, however, it was not until the early 2000s this training idea spread widely. Okay. Early 2000s, yeah. So that does make sense. I felt like I remember when DC training was the whole craze. Like if you didn't do dog crap training, you were a bitch. No, EJ, I don't. Hey, EJ, I'm not going to re-explain that ever again. I'm not going to explain that again. And technically, it would have been heavy squats. No, Coach Jim. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I mention or whatever, and I have things going on, and then I give an explanation as to what happened, and then people want to revisit it over and over, and then they turn it into a reason to hate me. Like it literally turns into hate videos, that particular topic. Does that make sense? So for bringing it up again tells me, are you watching stalker videos? Like, where are you getting this? I just don't feel like explaining it again. I just don't. Is that fair? We're digging too much into my mother's autopsy and my personal medical history. This is too personal. In short, I decided the risk is worth it, and let's leave it at that. And I have my reasons to believe I'm probably safe in spite of the gene. So, is that a fair enough? But that's a deeply personal medical question about my family history and my mom's autopsy, basically. Yeah. All right. You know, in short, a doctor said there's a high probability all of her children have a gene that can cause that. And it wouldn't be high rep squats, it would be heavy squats. Caused my heart to split open, blood feud. Like, that's it. I just told you I don't want to. I was about to just ban you. I feel like you guys struggle with social nuance, you know. I feel like you guys really struggle with that. I'm still waking up, so I'm going to be kind of a dick. Yeah, let's see. You also made the profile today. So I feel like you're just a troll. But the term is aortic dissection. So there is a gene that is in my family that can cause a predisposition to aortic dissection. Now, I don't fully agree with the risk. I've assessed all of it. I didn't squat for a little bit, and then I went back and started squatting again. I feel like in my case, because of my vigorous training, the cardio, some of the previous anabolics may actually thicken those areas. So when I looked at it closely, yeah. So, but that's the point. So EJ brought up something I didn't want to talk about. Does that make sense, Blood? And then I tried to change it. So let's just move on and not ask about my personal life and stuff. And let's go on to other topics. How's that? But no, I mean, Blood, it's not literally walking on eggshells. If someone says I'd like to not talk about it, that's not walking on eggshells. Like, would you do that in real life? Yeah, exactly. So in real life, if you're having a conversation with somebody, go, hey man, can I not talk about this? Would you go, hey man, would you ask further questions? Like, would you actually do that in real life to a person? And that's a simple yes or no. Bingo. So would you think, oh man, I have to walk on eggshells if they got upset if you chose to dig further? No, you'd feel like an asshole. All right. So I feel like dudes in these streams don't seem to understand these concepts. I'm again not being mean. I feel like a lot of you don't interact with people very much. Like there's a lot of people who struggle with social cues and nuance in here. And I think this is a generational thing I'm noticing. Right? It's definitely a generational thing. You guys are less social. So therefore you haven't picked up on this is also why this generation struggles to get girls. Right? It's starting to make sense to me now. Because I get so many dudes who are like, I can't get laid, I can't get a girlfriend. I'm like, you haven't banged 17 girls already? And they're like, no, I've never been with one. And I'm like, you're like 25, you know? Tell them if you're on Facebook 3 times a week, how often would you rotate lists to prevent overuse? I don't think there's a set answer to that, Callum. Right? I don't think there's a set answer to that. Here's going to be my point with that. Good morning, Psych. How you doing? Hey, Psych, what do you think about all that conversation of me noting all these guys, they struggle with social nuance in here? And then these same guys say that they struggle to meet women or get girls just in general. I think it's a generational thing that a lot of these guys are not used to interacting with other human beings with interpersonal communication. And you can tell in the manner that they communicate here. And it's something I bring up to people, and I'm like, so would you actually do that to a real person? Say, well, no, exactly. But you also have to realize that the lack of social skills is why they don't meet girls and they're unsuccessful in dating. What do you think? It's a generational thing. No, I think dating is harder because you guys lack social skills. It's because you spend all of your time video gaming or this sort of content, like just in general. Lack of face-to-face interpersonal skills is why you guys struggle to get girls and why 20% of the guys are sleeping with all the women. Because the guys who have social skills have an endless stream of women available to them. The women do too, but you're the ones doing the chasing, guys. So therein lay the problem. Women don't have to have the social cues to get a date. All right. But I need to get coffee. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. All right, so yeah, it depends on the age. Social media, less contact in public, everyone in phones, but also introverts are going to find it a bit tricky to start. So social overtures, lots at play. All right. Well, I've noticed introvert women have to go through a lot of texting. I'm not going to go into my own experience with that, but yeah, generally they're going to use a little more internet, but they're still going to successfully find men. A bit of noticed females having difficulties too, more social anxiety because difficulty putting phones down to start a conversation or not partying where alcohol impacts socializing too. Yeah. But I mean, so here's the point. No, she's saying it impacts socializing negatively, and it can. It's for some people. So that being said, this is one of the things I'm telling to these younger guys. the number one skill, like you get all these red pill guys, right? These manosphere clowns who are like, oh, the a-holes are the ones who get all the girls. And it's like, no, you guys are not understanding is in this age, it's not that women are, oh, there has to be this, he has to be 6 foot tall with a 6-figure income and a 6-inch penis, right? This is not a reality. You want to know it because of this social situation. Do you want to know what puts a man at the top of the food chain for getting women? One skill and one skill only. Now gives you, it was normal forever, now gives you a massive, monstrous advantage. No, the ability to confidently carry on a conversation with a woman. Okay, let me say that again. The ability to confidently carry on a conversation with a woman while making eye contact now puts you at the very top of the food chain. Hey, Blood, I can tell that you read way too many red pill blogs. You're too immersed in that culture. I'm going to restate it again. The number one absolute top of the food chain now is that single skill. Red pill is also synonymous with the manosphere. It's this whole movement of online guys. It includes stuff like the extreme ends would be the MGTOW, men going their own way. Guys like whatever, Andrew Tate, who is very obviously closeted and hates women. We started on the guy. Yeah, most red pill guys. So this whole idea that they're like, well, all Western women, all modern women are trash. They're all gold diggers and whores, and there's no good women left, and women only won't date a guy who's not 6 foot tall and making 6 figures with at least a 6-inch dick and a 6-pack. And it's like they only date Chad Thundercock, and he has to be rich. Like it's this whole delusional, weird. Yeah. So they made up a system to blame for it. When in reality, the reason they're not getting women is, I don't know, either they're complete losers or they lack any ability to interact with women. Yeah. There we go. And you outed yourself. All right. These guys make these really weird spins on my love life. Like they have these very strange interpretations. All right. So, what's funny is if they knew about the relationships they don't know about, man. Now we can focus on. No, we don't need to do that. I give Limitless a hard time, but he needs to. I do tell him he's got to work on his mindset though, because he comes in a lot of afternoon streams. Like I told him, because I can't have this. He's got to work on his confidence because I can't be around people like that. Like in real life, dude, I wouldn't be able to carry on conversations with guys exuding that energy. I'm just like, dude, I'm not chatting with you. A little different in here, but he's got to work on that energy. Like the lack of confidence. All right. So get in the gym, lift weights, get strong, focus on yourself. So here's the other thing, Limitless. The other thing is you're out here dating and you haven't really built yourself up. Something to think about too. Because if you're not where you're trying to be in life, I hope you're not looking for a partner. I hope you're just trying to get laid. Because if you're not where you want to be and you're not confident, you haven't built yourself into the man you want to be, the woman you get with now, you're going to cut her loose. You do know that, right? If you reach that level, because she's not going to be compatible with you. you know. So would you want a woman who would accept you at your lowest? Is that a good woman? Or is she going to be compatible? You know, just stuff to think about, guys. Yeah. Right. So quick story so that people understand what people mean by I paid someone's rent. Very short cliff notes. I got involved in a relationship with someone I met through my fitness circles who had done fitness writing and other stuff. She was a friend and had written for a personal friend of mine for his publication. And we hit it off. We started talking. She was supposed to fly down to meet me, and then we had an issue with that. And then so I flew up to meet her, and we ended up getting into a relationship. And once we got into a committed relationship, some stuff went down, and she quit working. And I said, and for a little bit while she was trying to get back on her feet, I'm like, okay, I'm going to cover your rent, but we have to get this resolved. And then she was supposed to move to Texas. And then that got delayed. And then stuff got delayed further. And then she had her own set of mental issues and all this stuff with the lockdowns and her being completely flipping out over the lockdowns, refusing to wear a mask. So she couldn't get on planes. She couldn't work where she lived because she refused to wear a mask. And she went through her own set of stuff. And I ended up dating her and continuing to pay her bills longer. And then some other friends, one of which there's one reason she turned and put out a bunch of lies about another mutual friend. And I'm not going to say who, her and her husband, because that woman even told me, yeah, you got to cut her loose. And she was friends with her. She's like, how long you been thinking of ending this? I'm like, for a year. And she's like, you need to pull the Band-Aid off and you need to cut her loose right now and stop paying her bills. So it was a case of it kind of drifted. It wasn't an intention to do that. We were already in a committed relationship and an agreement. And then she kept delaying the move down here. And we later talked about it, you know, but she had her own reasons. It was her own fears and phobias. But yeah. Limitless, everyone wants to be loved. That's a basic human emotion. You know, but in that case, that was someone who I thought was a good match, and we had already were in a committed relationship, and then some things happened to where she suddenly couldn't work for a little bit. And then it turned into a bigger and bigger thing, and it ended up me paying all of her bills for a while, like for 2 years. And I'm like, and we argued about it. You know, and it was kind of like me, like, look, I'm not going to keep paying your bills. You need to move down here. I'm not paying your bills if you're not living with me. And that ended up being terribly expensive because I was paying all of her bills and flying up to see her. And we argued about it. But yes, I have been in that situation. You know, we'll clarify where your important values are, set some goals according to those, and focus on being disciplined with those. Commit to developing your identity and being clear on who you want to be. Yeah, exactly. No, she's giving good advice. Right. Then you'll be able to identify a female who aligns with you because you will be doing things where you will naturally attract the right person, a girl at the gym or a hobby. Exactly. Are bent over squats good for leg growth? I don't know what that means. Limitless. I have free programs. What are you doing? I have free programs. I don't even know what a bent over squat is. Sometimes we need a friend like that to make us pull off and that's exactly what happened. Well, the other thing was the conversation. She's like, yeah, you can't do that. And I told her straight up, I'm like, in her current state, I feel like if I break up with her, she'll kill herself. So now we're over to emotional guilt. It's like you can understand that. So Staying in a relationship with someone because you believe they'll commit suicide if you dump them. Whew, you know. I mean, so these situations end up happening. And yeah, unfortunately, that's a situation I have been in as a mature grown man. Well, I originally hired her Limitless. She was a graphic design artist, and I hired her, and then she didn't do any of the work. I hired her to do all my stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay you at first. Can you do T-shirt designs and design merch for me and do this other stuff? And I actually hired her at her normal rate. And then it turned into, hey, I'm not making enough, and I can't do the work I need to do. Can you, swing my rent this next month? And then it was like, does that make sense? It just kind of drifted. So you don't know the full situation, but yeah, that is a technique people use. So, so understand our personal lives can be complex. Right. And I've even had, but the internet unfortunately found out about that whole situation and dug into everything about her. Like literally trolls dug into everything they could possibly find and found things I didn't even know. So yeah. I mean, same thing. I've had a situation where I had someone chase me for years, and I shot them down 3 times, and I ended up getting with them. Again, the internet does not know of my involvement with that person, but I ended up being in an exclusive relationship with someone who it went really bad, who I shot down 3 different times. I gave her hard nose 3 different times when she pursued me. But I felt like when we did that we were compatible. But, these things happen. Right. So after that, you just have to screen better. You got to screen a lot of things better. And I did a lot of like even what Psych says, and I'm not going to say what I'm doing or not with my current personal life, but yeah, I've sat down and did all of that stuff some time back, where I made a full list of everything that I want, all of my values, everywhere that I want to see my life at in the long term. So I actually have written a 3-page document about my goals, where I want to see my life, what I want to see eventually my day-to-day life look like, how I want my business model to be down the road, what everything that I look for in a partner, like I have a checklist of 20 things that I wrote down of, these are my values, this is what I have to have, these are my deal breakers, this is what I have to have in a partner, this is what I won't accept. I've done all that stuff. All right. He said he was like the 5th light. So those are things that you need to do too, Limitless. You can't just go, I just want to be loved. Hey, Limitless, you don't have enough information to make that sort of guess, right? So you're making big guesses and you don't know the full. It would take me an hour, and I'm not putting that out in public. So no. Big up, Rubio. What's up, everyone? How you doing, guys? But no, I'm going to agree with Psych on this. You have to have someone who aligns with your values and lifestyle. But you're young right now, Limitless, and you haven't fully established your values and lifestyle. So you are not a fully established man. So the only chance you've got now is finding someone who's going to grow with you, who you're compatible enough now that you can grow with them. And hopefully that works out. The last thoughts on the whole, doctor. Can we wait till I make another live stream on it? I feel like you could just search my channel and look at all the live streams. I've already addressed it in the title in the afternoons. I don't cover those in the morning. Now this is coffee chat. So it's not like I haven't discussed the mic thing, and I've actually made fun of you guys for obsessing over it. Just in case you weren't aware, like you guys really got to get another topic. Kapow, what casual are we talking about? Opposites do not attract. No. Yeah, the mic thing is just getting lame. Like this is old news at this point. Like who cares? The last fake natty. Oh. And no, we'll leave him in here. It's fine. But the mic thing is pretty lame at this point. I mean, does anybody really care? Yeah, this one with real drama occurs. I do need to dig deeper into the Jeff Nippard thing, but I did feel like addressing the funny stuff the other day, right, Peppermint? You mentioned that. How come I say something and then all of a sudden Jeff Nippard for 90 days runs a program built around stuff that I've said and have said for a while that he would have completely rejected previously? And we know Jeff watches my stuff because Jeff and I have had banter, and he even made a pillow with my face. Remember, Nippard made a pillow with my face on it and had it on the camera, and he slept with his head on a pillow with my face printed on it before, for those who forgot. And my voice is in the background calling him a weak-ass pussy. And then I'm using that for motivation. Because I called him a weak-ass pussy one time. And has playing the guitar helped you get a girlfriend? Shall I pardon French? I'm still waking up. Okay. Psych, please pardon my language with a lady present here. When I was in high school, playing the guitar got me pussy, limitless, straight up. Playing the guitar got me laid in high school. Not girlfriends, straight up. Here's the pussy. I don't know why guys don't grasp this. Yes, you're a young guy. Play the guitar. Get really good at it. Like, this is not difficult. Yes, limitless. If you play the guitar, there are women who will have sex with you purely because you play the guitar as a younger guy. This isn't difficult to understand. That's why I say, yeah, guys, go learn an instrument. Now, as you get older, that's not necessarily what you want. But do women find musicians attractive? Do they find it? Yes, they like it. Now, when they're younger, it's different. Like when you're in high school or 20 years old, it's a different scene with that. Keep us updated on the flute, Will, right? I'll learn the flute. Limitless, you're a lost cause, right? Because I told him learn the guitar, and he said to learn the flute. Why do people keep saying that with Ruby, by the way? I don't, to my knowledge, this isn't actually a real situation. Could someone DM me something on that? What? I'm at a loss for these messages. I really am. Hey, Limitless, I told you to learn the guitar. Now, that's why Sykes Life keeps updated on the flute. But to be fair, women do appreciate musicians. It is considered an attractive hobby in men. It probably is. I mean, I don't know. Right. You don't know. I don't get it. They both have zero. Yeah. Hey, Loneliness, I told you to go learn the guitar. I don't know how we made this jump. All right. Well, Rufio, the point is not, how do I put this? I'm actually kind of into monogamy. I have not had sex outside of a relationship in quite a long time, actually. So I'm not actually out there being a hoe. So it's not the issue of shortage of women. It's always a situation of finding compatible women, right? You have to have women who are compatible with you. But again, I'm not going to discuss my personal what I do these days. So the issue is not shortage. It's finding a compatible partner. Thank you, EJ. You're using one of my lines. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Yes, Limitless, learn the guitar. That is a great shy guy technique for women to still be attracted. Yes, learn the guitar. I'm very specific. You know, guys, come on. Make Coach to be this big player. Oh my God. What's funny, I get this on the internet and then trolls get mad. They're like, how could you say that? And then my people who know me in real life is a totally different. They would be like, if some of my best bros ever got and really had a conversation about this, it would be like, they give me a hard time. My bros give me a hard time. They would agree with you, but they would also, how do I put this? They would make jokes on maybe the quality of many of the women that they've seen me with, very large numbers of them. They give me a hard time. Yeah. They're like kind of like, damn, Jason. I mean, when you do try to get a nice one, all of a sudden you just miss all the red flags. You know, you need to go back to all your tatted up hoes. Yes, I have been extensively STD tested. Yeah, that's the joke. So in real life, my bros actually call me Stifler. That's how they describe me. They're like, before they introduce me to people, like, he's our Stifler. And I found this out later. I was at a big get together, and it came up, and there were people there who had only known me a couple months, right? Men and women both. And he had said, "Oh yeah, I mean, I just tell everybody. I've been telling everybody for years before they meet you, and it makes smooths everything over." I'm like, he's pretty much our Stifler. So just think of him as being Stifler. And then they all start laughing. They're like, "Yeah, that's what he told me." And then one of the women's like, "And it was a perfect description." Have you seen any of the American Pie movies? Limitless, Stifler from those. That's yeah. EJ, that's what I said. 2 4s is an 8. You're using a direct Jason line from his youth. And but I'm actually here. Okay, here's the funny thing, guys. Let's get a little bit of Jason. I'm actually an incurable romantic, and that's the funny part. So that's why my friends think it's hilarious. They're like, dude, just they're like the women you end up with all the time, and they're like, you really are like an incurable. I'm one of those guys who I believe in true love, and I am that guy, but at the same time, I somehow end up with strippers and chicks tatted and pierced from head to toe on steroids, and I don't know. It just happens. It just happens. Um, or to quote my sister, this is a direct quote from my sister. It's like, my brother can walk into a room and the craziest bee in the whole room will F him. That's my direct quote from my sister. What's the most romantic thing? I've done a lot of really romantic stuff. I mean, I'm a flowers type guy. Like, I'm a hold the door flowers, dude. What do you mean, how to deal with getting ghosted? It happens, man. Move on. Plenty of fish in the sea, man. Exactly. This is this. I don't know how to take you under. Like, Limos, I don't really know how to give you advice at this point. Like some of the guys pointed out, there's your. I don't know how to give you advice, dude. Go get under a barbell, learn the guitar. That's the only way that you build some confidence. Get your deadlift up to 500 pounds, and I'm just saying, I just can't. Yeah. All right, you need real consequences for his actions. Yeah, I just can't, dude. Well, I mean, I'm gonna drop a standard Coach Blaha line. Melissa, you're gonna have to just stop being a pussy. Like straight up, dude. Straight up. I saw a woman write an article once, written by a woman, and the title of the article was "She Dates A-Holes Because You're a Pussy." You gotta just, it's time for you to just man up, son. It is that simple. It is that simple. I can't. Yeah, do the work, exactly. But you got to build yourself up. It's this whole lack of confidence, not making it to the gym. Because I don't care if you're sick, get to the gym. What is this? What's this nonsense? You guys have watched me rep 5 plates on the deadlift while I had COVID. Just stop. I don't want to hear this crap. Last time I had the flu, I was doing 550 deadlifts for doubles on camera with the flu. You didn't go to the gym for a month because you were sick. Just stop. I don't want to hear this. You got to toughen up. We'll get a home gym. All right. Well, I'm just saying it's the principle of the matter. I know, but I'm not buying that he was too sick for a month to work out. He couldn't do anything at home. He couldn't find something to lift. And my point is the mindset. It's not about that. It's he's got a complete failure quit mindset. And he's got to fix that. He's got to fix that. All right, team, I have to go to bed. Good luck with Limitless. Now that I feel like I'm not going to be able to help him at this point. He's just not willing to man up. And if you can't man up, then I can't help you any further. There's nothing I can do. All right. So get to the gym. Build yourself up. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. I thought Sam Sweet was a hardcore gym goer. He told this story where he had to drive around in a snowstorm at Christmas Day until he found a gym that would let him in, right? People are expecting instant results, are not prepared for the long haul, right? Yeah. Just in general, there's no quick fixes in anything in life, guys. Hold on. All right. Sounds saying he has that dog in him. Dorian Yates said he walked through a snowstorm to get to the gym. That's bad, you know. I mean, you do what you have to do, guys. I mean, I built a whole home gym because it just works well for me. Right? Then we don't have any excuses. Like, you know, how serious are you willing to take all of it? I don't want to make this a post. David Goggins good for motivation. And the issue is, though, David Goggins does take his stuff to the point where he hurts himself. And I think that's the problem of Goggins is good for motivation, but I always tell people you don't want to take a former Navy SEAL for fitness advice because their injuries tend to mount up. And plus, they're psychologically built different. Usually, Special Forces selection, they're looking for certain personality traits along with certain physical genetic traits, or you're not going to make it through selection. You know, they're essentially looking for people who are hardwired that they won't give up. That when they're shot, they will drag their wounded person out of danger over their back with a bullet in them. When you need motivation, his quotes are good, not as pushing to injury, right? You know, whereas in me, I take a different approach to this. I just don't think training is that hard, right? To the point where I get other coaches and people who think my training or what I do is crazy. I get criticized for my own training all the time by coaches on social media. Like, there's no way you can recover from that. That's you can't. But I'm like, I do, and I'm not hurt, and I don't think it's that hard. Like, you guys see the whole deadlift argument, and then one of the guys says, "You're not even a strength. What gives you a right?" And I'm like, I look where he lives. I tag Duffin, and I'm like, "Well, talk to Duffin and tell him this blowhard on Facebook with my name claims to be a strength coach, and I don't think he can coach his way out of a wet paper bag," and see what Duffin says. I know Chris Duffin. People are crazy, so they don't like the fact that I said that I deadlift 3 days a week. They're like, "There's no way you can't." I know these other coaches with their CSCSs. You guys notice that tendency for people with a CSCS to not be able to produce athletes who are strong? This is why I say that coaching is not a matter of formal education. It's an art form. Yes, you need to have an understanding of science. You need to have an understanding of biology, but it's an art form, and it's a certain intrinsic understanding of the way the body responds, also due to experience, years and years of it. Right? I think you have more or less. I have a perfect lifestyle for my training. That's why I can get away with what I do. You know, but then they're like, "There's no way. How are you deadlifting 3 days a week?" And the guy wrote a number, and it's like, if you're going up to this high of a weight, you just can't sustain. It's less weight than I actually use. Like his example, I'm laughing. I'm like, "Dude, I lift more weight 3 days a week than your example." He's like, "And are you doing anything else? There's no way you could squat anywhere near that." And I'm like, "I squat and deadlift the same days. I'm like, I squat before. And then he's like, then he's like pulling this, well, you got to be too exhausted to do anything. I go do running or GPP the next day. We get out and do weighted carries and sled sprints, barefoot, run barefoot the next day after squatting and deadlifting like that. And I don't think it's that hard. I don't think lifting weights is hard. And I believe that people who promote that it is are doing a disservice to people. Right? The guys who post about the suffering and the pain and it's hard work, I'm like, dude, you're sitting on a machine in an air-conditioned gym. You're performing a leisure activity in an air-conditioned room. This sort of stupidity is why so many people are scared to work out. Oh, it's hard. Dude, you're lifting weights. It's not hard. You adapt. So the same thing. Yes, I run barefoot. You adapt. Your feet toughen up. Yes, I deadlift 5+ plates for rep work 3 days a week with a deadlift bar, which my hands don't shred anymore. My hands have toughened up to it. I know someone grabs a bar like I have the first time they try to pull 4 plates, they're usually bleeding. But you know what? Your hands toughen up. Yeah, you can either lift the weights or you can't. It's really not hard, right? And people forget your neural drive goes up. You get used to lifting heavy. It becomes your normal. Again, we adapt. As long as you recover, you adapt to what you were doing. And you listen to your body. And that's the other thing. I don't overtrain because I listen and I know when I have to back down. Your body will tell you. You have a tachometer in there. And as a coach with less experienced lifters, a lot of what I do is not cheering them on. I'm reeling them in. A lot of my clients get pissed at me. They're like, you always pull me back. I'm pulling you back so you don't get hurt. Right? But, so we learn to listen. I adjust stuff so people will make a big deal, or you rotate some stuff too much. I'm like, the second I feel any pain or inflammation, yes, I rotate things immediately. We don't wait a week. Or the very next workout, we adjust. Like if my elbow tendon hurts, I'm adjusting what I'm doing immediately. If my hip flexor hurts, like my left hip hurts, I'm going to adjust what I'm doing immediately. Any pain at all, anything on a 2 or higher on the out of 10 scale, we adjust. These are your solutions. Right. But yeah, so we lift heavy at a high frequency. I do general physical preparedness. That's why I kind of laugh when Vegan Gains at time pulled that line of, I think I could take Jason to cage fight. He's an old man and he's not really in good shape. And I'm just like, dude, I will run you into the ground. What are you talking about? You guys are clowns. But no, you get out and do it. Like people make excuses. It's not that hard. You adapt to all of it. It might be hard for a week. I don't want to say that because then it creates fights, but yes, I have no doubt about that. It'd be all cool till he hits me the first time. Yeah, I rep out 500 with 5 on the deadlift with just a chalk and a belt 3 times a week. after squatting and benching. Please note that is after squatting and benching. And then we do weighted pull-ups after. Yeah. It's all good though. I mean, but he does that. He's like, I want to get in a cage match. I'm like, you want to be in a cage match with me? I need to get paid. Let's get paid up front. I'll do it, but I want to get paid. But I'm not putting gloves on, and there's going to be no rules. I don't eat fish at all. But I'm assuming with a cage, there's no rules. There's no gloves. There's no rules. Bro, because you hit me in the face, I'm biting your nose off. I'm biting your nose or ear off, dude, if you hit me. Like, it's on. We're not playing. You fight to the death. You tapped out, you get back up. They declared you out. You pop the referee in the face and you keep going. It ain't over, bro. That's not how I was raised. I'm just saying, you hit me, we got a problem. I'm real cool until that point. I'm a super chill guy until you put your hands on me. Mm-mm. But I have no trouble biting. Why wouldn't you bite somebody in a fight? Yes, I will, only under parent supervision, Thomas. And I'm not saying who, but I have done that before. But I wanted parental supervision. Now, I have a real life friend who I coached. I coached her son through virtual, even though they're here in Texas. But I always wanted her husband present for all communication. It worked great. But they were trying to get him stronger to get scholarships for sports. But that's my rule. If you're a minor, I want parental supervision for 100% of communication, all of it. But I don't like to fight. That's the thing. I don't want to fight people. But I mean, Richard always he talked about money. I'm like, I'll do it for money, but it's not. I don't want rules, and I want to get paid a substantial amount. You can reach me through Facebook. Hold on. Since I do all my coaching through Messenger, you can message me there, Thomas. And then read the sticky at the top. It'll give you all the information, the sticky at the top of the page. But yeah, if your son's a minor, I'm gonna want a group chat for all communications, and any video calls, I'm gonna want you present with them. That's my rules. But Richard's a blowhard. Richard's not going to fight anybody. Like, he does this cage match thing all the time. Like, do you have a bad knee? You can't even squat 185. That's like 70, 80 kg for people who don't use freedom units. He got hurt trying to squat that. It's like, just stop, dude. Just stop. You're not fighting anybody. Nobody who's strong. Stupidity. I don't know why people want to fight anyways. He's beat up as soon as someone lands on leg. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. What happens if I fall on your leg? Like, what happens if you knock me out and I fall on your leg? You're going to be crippled for the rest of your life. But if I just potato flop onto your leg? Like, what if I just spaz out and do a potato flop on your leg? I'm over 200 pounds, dude. That much weight has injured you every time you've gotten under it. Like, your leg is done. It's over. If I fall on it, he's like the glass man. That vegan diet, I'm telling you. But he's on all that growth hormone now, apparently, so that might be helping strengthen the tendons. A little bit of growth goes a long way. All right. The last fake natty, that's kind of a funny. No, probably not. How tall is Richard though? Tall guys are automatically bigger. So too real. I like. Are you talking proportions or are you talking lean body mass? No, beyond. We don't have any hogs. But I've already told you everything you need to know about feral hog hunting, and I haven't done it. Since I haven't done it in over 20 years, why would we have any news stories? It's like, we're done, dude. So Richard's 6'3". So he might be just due to height, but not proportions. No, Richard's too old to be juicing that hard. You can't do all that. Hey, Beyond, why would you even compare those two things? Are we really going to put feral hogs and squirrels as a similar, even remotely similar endeavor? For me, having originally grown up in the country and done different types of hunting, I don't see different hunting things as similar activities. Does that make sense? So think of it as different types of working out. That's like the equivalent of saying, I've always wanted to try to lift weights or go play golf. Right. And that's kind of my point. You're comparing two things just because it's some form of hunting is an enormously broad category of activity types and action. Does that make sense? These are not even remotely similar things. Like, there is no similarity in any regard between hunting a hog and hunting a squirrel. I wouldn't even consider them similar activities. Just, they're so dramatically different. Good follow-up question. I would like to inquire. Well, because he's taller potentially. Richard being significantly taller, he's just going to hold more muscle no matter what. Right? A 6'5" guy can hold more muscle than a 5'5" guy will, who's on a gram of test versus natural. The 6'5" guy can naturally get more muscle mass than a 5'5" guy can on 1,000 milligrams of steroids. He's still going to mog him. Does that make sense? Frame size matters in this context. So you're talking proportions or actual lean tissue are two very different things. I mean, but height differentials matter here a lot. Right? No, squirrel hunting is way less physically involved just in general. Right? It's a much lower risk, different weapon. It's they're not even similar. No, you just take a shotgun and you pop a squirrel in the tree and you go pick it up. It's a very low effort. Like, it's a fun kids thing. right? So squirrel hunting is like something you can safely do at 5 years old. Like when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, I went squirrel hunting. I guess it's an easy childhood activity. Grandpa or dad just turns you loose with a 20 gauge and says, "Go get some squirrels." It's like, um, every submitted 3 times a week, full body. No, you don't have to be a good aim to pop squirrels. Yeah, I used to hunt bird. I've hunted a lot of doves. I don't like squirrel. I've tried to eat it. I gave it to my grandma. Loves squirrel though. I like doves. Are good though. I've eaten a lot of the doves that we hunted. Yeah, we used to go down to Mexico when I was a kid, even for the dove hunting. Before the cartels got really bad, the borders. But I cannot recover. Can I add one more rest day, or should I just reduce the volume, Lars? So you're doing full body 3 times a week. Just reduce the volume. All right, I'm gonna get coffee. I don't. I've never captured hog. The largest hog we didn't capture him. I was just kidding. I mean, I've got some in the 150, maybe 200 pound range. So understanding the difference with hog versus squirrel, like no, squirrel hunting is literally something 5 and 6 year old boys do. Like it's just not a particularly strenuous or difficult endeavor. Like you just need a shotgun and a pocket knife to skin it with, right? Um, Squirrels are very easy to skin. Like literally, a 6 year old kid with a pocket knife can skin a squirrel. You just have to know how to do it. You just pop them; they fall out of the tree. You go pick it up. Right? It's very straightforward. Like you guys see squirrels, right? Where you live, if you see squirrels, realize if you're over in an area where you can pop them, you're outside of a residential area. They're in trees the same way. You just go get the squirrels. What do you mean? No, you tell your little boys you're not gentle. You have to be taught this stuff. No, you just go squirrel hunt. I grew up originally on a farm though. Like butchering animals is something I had been around since I was very small. So it's just not a big deal to me. Really, is not a big deal. Grew up doing it. So, and where do you think your food comes from, dude? All right. Now that being said, as far as understanding with hog hunting, it's not always hunting. Sometimes it's just pest control. So I think of it as hunting when you're on foot going looking for them down through areas. Um, Squirrels are, what are you talking about? Beyond, I have no idea what you're talking about. Squirrels are good for the environment. What? People pop them to eat them. And plus, when you're a kid and you just want to go hunt. Curse, your early farm life help you later? I don't know, possibly. So but we moved to Houston when I was 7, but then we still worked back and forth to family stuff. And then my dad ended up owning half of the family ranch later, not the farm, but the ranch. One of my uncles was given the whole farm, but the ranch was larger. So it's all worked out. My dad ended up owning 3/4 of the ranch eventually. He bought brothers and sisters out. Um, but they were several miles apart, the farm and the ranch. But no. So when you're talking with dealing with feral hogs, if it's hunting, if you're down looking for them on foot, but a lot of times you go out in the pasture and there's a whole herd of them out there. Now that's easy, right? So you pull up and you see a pasture that's 5, 6, 700 meters across, it's fence to fence, and between the tree lines and the fences, right? So these are your cattle pastures where your cattle graze, and there's a bunch of hogs out there near some of your cattle feed. Now, a lot of people, one of my uncles who used to go do this too, if I call him uncle, he's married. He's not relative. He's one of my aunt's husbands. He showed me later, like all the people using tannerite to blow them up. Like there was a whole YouTube series for a while where guys down here in Texas were using tannerite to blow up like 15 hogs at one time and then uploading it. Right. And you see the hogs flying up through the air, which is perfectly legal here, by the way. So, because they're feral hogs, they're not protected at all. The state wants you to clear them out. That's why we had a big problem with the poisoning issue, because the state said people were not clearing them out quick enough. We're going to start poisoning them, and we'll just give them the poison that turns the fat in the meat any there blue, so that if you skin one, it's got poison in it. So they came up and they used to just bait them that way, but then that would keep anyone from potentially eating one. If he's blue inside, then he's been eating the poison. But it also creates an environmental problem because other scavengers and stuff are now eating the poison meat. So if you have them out in the field, you just set up and start popping. That's where the AR pattern is very, very helpful. I don't know anything. I don't care about the environment, to be honest, beyond belief. It's not something I research or have any concerns for. I'm the wrong person to ask. I literally don't care. Not saying we shouldn't. I'm saying I don't. Yes, beyond, I don't sit around personally thinking about my impact. I just don't care. This is why we have industry regulations and things. So, yeah, I can't say that I spend a single moment of my time worrying about my environmental footprint. I just don't care. Again, this is why we have regulations overall for this stuff. So, that being said, let's go on to talk about it. So I'm not going to be helpful to you here. Does that make sense? I'm not going to have any useful information on that topic. I'm going to have about as much useful information on that as I will about ballet dancing. I just, So you can only hunt feral hogs from a helicopter. Only hogs, that's it. You break any laws on deer, you're in trouble. So, no. So it's purely like I described, flying over pastures where the hogs are a problem and shooting them from a helicopter. So what we would do, and I've had this happen, you see out in a field like 12, 13, 15 of them, something in that range, all around eating cattle feed, right? And they're 300 to 400 meters from the nearest fence line. At this point, this is not hunting. This is pest control. So yeah, usually in that case, I would just pull over my truck, have a nice flat toolbox in the back. So just lay up on there, set up a bipod under an AR, and it's just shooting fish in a barrel. Because if you can make a hit every 2 seconds, they have 400 meters they have to make it to the fence line. So usually the first one flips before the sound reaches them. So that's just been my experience. I got eight in a row out of a herd before they made it to the fence line. Right. So usually they realize there's a problem when one of them flips over, and about that time the sound reaches them. Then they start breaking to run, and you just pick as many of them as you can before they get to the fence. But then that herd will probably, whatever left is not coming anywhere near your property again. They're out of there. Like you took half of the herd. They're going to move on. And then, took all 8 of them, drug them over into a dry creek bed, and you burn them because you don't want to leave the corpses out there. Right? You don't want to leave the pigs out in the field where you're going to have buzzards and scavengers and disease because you have cattle. I don't know what a canned hunt means. You're going to have to explain this to me. I don't know that term. No, yeah, you can go. No, there are businesses that do it. I don't know what canned means, but there are businesses to where, yes, you can go pay them to let you hunt pigs from their helicopter with a machine gun. It's a real thing here, and it is legal. Right. Now, because you don't have the Class 3 license, the pilot or someone, the Class 3 license holder has to be with you supervising, who has ownership of the Class 3 weapon. Now, that's federal law requires that, which I think is dumb. I don't believe in Class 3. I think the feds should stay completely out of it. All right. You're old enough to drive a car, you're old enough to own a machine gun, in my opinion. All right. Canned hunt. Canned hunt is a killing of captive bred or tame. No, this is not a canned hunt. These are not, you can't tame feral hogs. You can't keep them from escaping. Yeah, no, dude, that's why they're a problem. They destroy fences. So, feral hogs destroy fences here, actually. Ask me how I know. I've had to rebuild a fence they've destroyed. So the fences that keep your cattle in, dude, feral hogs will have a fun time with those. Coach, what is one thing you can eat endless of and not gain weight? I mean, are we talking hypothetical limitless? There's a lot of nuance to that question. I mean, hypothetically, in theory, you could gain weight on anything in theory. However, in practice, Greek yogurt definitely on that list. How about cantaloupe? Right? Yeah, you can't eat but Joel, what we mean in terms of appetite, GI tract, digestion rates, effects on thermic effect, there are foods you literally could not gain fat eating if you tried due to the mechanisms involved. So it's one of those where we say, oh, you can do it on anything, but you really can't, right? Like, again, understand the thermic effect of overfeeding, understand absorption rates of your GI tract, understand that certain foods, you're going to start squirting them out in liquid before you can reach a true surplus. Does that make sense? You could be crapping out 3,000 calories. So do we understand what we mean of hypothetical versus reality? Okay. Now, granted, it also depends on what else you eat. Like, are you eating a bunch of butter with it? Okay, fine. But a perfect example, take cantaloupe. And if you think I'm kidding, so when I say this, I'm like, I don't think this is good. But hypothetically, if you were to go right now and eat nothing but cantaloupe for 2 weeks straight, I promise you would lose weight. Especially if you're physically active at all. If you ate nothing but cantaloupe at unlimited amounts, you just ate it until you felt like you were going to puke, until you were just pooping it out every day. You wouldn't gain any weight. You would probably lose a couple pounds as a grown man. Does that make sense? Sure, you could try. Do you have any concept? Right. Could you eat endless Greek yogurt? I mean, you're talking fat-free Greek yogurt? Okay, here's the key. And I think when we have these conversations, are we talking in the context of a mono-food diet? You don't store protein or carbohydrate as subcutaneous fat. This has been found, like we have isotope testing, carbon isotope testing show that you cannot do it. It's only it's only visceral fat. Okay. Think in terms of thermic effect, because what happens when you carb overfeed? You simply store all the fat that you ate. So when you look at some of the protein or the carbohydrate overfeeding studies, women's TDEE, women went up 1,000 calories a day just from carb overfeeding. If they ate an extra 2,000 calories of carbohydrate over maintenance. Okay, so you see this massive shift in thermic effect. And you also have the fact that de novo lipogenesis is a very inefficient process, and it only occurs in your visceral fat. So we've studied it. So you know that you have a biology background. Carbon isotope testing has showed humans do not store carbohydrate subcutaneously. We can't replicate it in the lab. We can't make it happen. They've tried. We're talking not 1 gram, nothing. It is all visceral. So the same thing with protein, overfeeding with something like fat-free Greek yogurt. No, you actually couldn't eat enough fat-free Greek yogurt to gain body fat. I'm going to say it's pretty much hypothetically, it's only hypothetical that you could do it. I'm going to say in practice, it's practically impossible. And that doesn't violate the calories in, calories out. So when people say the thing, well, if you eat enough of anything, right. But that's also like saying, hey, if you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. Sure, if you have enough money. But we come over to if you eat enough of it. Okay. But is it actually realistic? I wish you good luck in this. It doesn't make the statement untrue, but it's also, hey, did you know if you have enough money, you could get away with murder? Probably true, yeah. But there's a big if. There's an if on there. Can macronutrient content be measured with feces? What do you mean? I need you to please ask your question a different way. I don't understand your question. Please ask it a different way. But people have to remember when we're talking energy in, energy out, it's not a fixed constant. And people get lost on that when they hear calories in, calories out. They have a reductionist viewpoint of what that means. I still don't understand the question. Are you talking about, can you measure how much you expelled undigested? Sure, they could drop it in a spectrometer and stuff and figure it out, you know, and that's been done. But are you talking about, do they know what you burned and absorbed through your feces? No, not necessarily. So I'm not sure which question you're asking. But we all expel calories in our feces. We're not 100% efficient, guys. Whole versus skim milk of health on a deficit. I mean, arguably, skim milk is going to be probably the better option. But what are we defining as for health here? I'm going to say drinking whole milk if you're trying to lose body fat in a deficit is probably not a particularly practical thing. I personally wouldn't be able to do that very effectively. I would find that absurdly difficult. And also keep in mind your body, so you're saying for health, your body has no actual need of saturated fat. And milk fat is mostly saturated. Now, we could argue that in milk form, we have cardioprotective benefits to where it's maybe not detrimental per se based upon data that we have, but it's also not beneficial either. And when we talk about absorption of fat soluble vitamins and stuff with these fat intakes, it's not like on a really low fat diet, you don't absorb any fat soluble vitamins. You just absorb less of them. It's an efficiency thing. But where were we with something else? So the calorie in, calorie out thing. People take it to this reductionist level to where they really think, hey, this is your maintenance. Like, that is a reductionist false view of calories in, calories out. That is not actual reality. That is a misunderstanding of the model. That's a very childish, ignorant, uneducated viewpoint of the calorie in, calorie out model. Of saying, my maintenance calories is 2,500. Therefore, if I eat, no. That's not how it works. What you eat will affect what your maintenance is dramatically. Your maintenance might be 2,200 on one dietary approach and food intake, and it might be 4,000 on another. In the same person in the same week. So when we're talking calorie in, calorie out, you have to understand different overfeedings will massively affect things like calories expelled through feces, shifts in thermic effect, changes in uncoupling proteins and mitochondria, shifts in thyroid hormone. There's a lot of things that will occur based upon what you eat. So your energy turnover can be massively different day to day based literally on what you ate. So you don't have a fixed maintenance. That's not a thing. It's a dynamic number. What do you like most, broccoli or cauliflower? Oh, broccoli is way better than cauliflower. Is there a way to gauge how many calories you burn through exercise? Not really, Nick. So all we can really do is just keep a rough baseline. So all calorie in and out tracking is just a loose ballpark. It's just a basic guideline, which is why so many people are successful who don't track anything. And when I say that, it's like, no, there are really dudes who don't bulk cut or track anything who just recomp all the time. They're a hoax if they're telling you your calorie burn, yes. Now, smartwatches can be useful for tracking stuff, though, your step count, your heart rates, all this stuff. They're really useful for that. They're not accurate for calorie burn. The only way to accurately measure calorie burn is in a sealed room that measures everything that you breathe. So if you're not in a closed system where they can monitor everything, if you're in an open system, you cannot measure calorie expenditure. You have to be inside of a closed system. So you can't measure it out walking around outside, at least with the current technology that we have in 2025. We're not technologically advanced enough to measure it. You have to be in a sealed room. All right. Which is going to give you an inaccurate reading compared to what you're doing day to day. I just eat whole foods only, and a lot of guys that will work really well, especially if you train hard enough. Right? As long as you watch the fat calories or the more palatable stuff that actually is viable for people who don't have extreme appetite issues, that actually can work very well. And plenty of people suggest. I know a lot of long-time older lifters who they don't track anything, and I know do too, quite lean year round. You know, but we get too caught up in this need to bulk. Balance fats and carbs with the rest of all. And again, if it's really healthy fat sources, a lot of people can get away with that. Like if it's high protein or higher fiber fat sources, right? If it's avocados and walnuts and healthy fats, that works quite well too. For many people, there are dudes who have abs year round doing that. Coach, I love eat food. I can eat 3 pizzas and I can too. So quit eating junk food. Limitless. If you love food, then you love chicken and rice. I love food, Limitless. I have an insane, voracious appetite. I actually enjoy chicken and brown rice because I love food. I can't even comprehend 1,800 calories. I can't even get my head around for me even eating that I couldn't even comprehend that. I've never gone that low to my knowledge at any point in my entire life. I probably didn't go that low when I lost 150 pounds when I was younger. I probably never ate less than 2,500 doing that. Losing 2 or 3 pounds a week. I didn't go under 3,000 calories for this last cut. I dropped 16, 17 pounds. And I'm still there. I probably didn't go under 3,000. I maybe hit 27, 2,800 a couple days in there. But I can't even comprehend 1,800. Like that's like 2 meals and you're done, right? So, here's my food from yesterday. Yeah, less than 2,000 calories normal for a bodybuilder for a show, but not a goal of strength and fitness, and not for big bodybuilders. Dude, I've known really big bodybuilders who didn't even do low calories. They just upped their drugs and got shredded. And they're still like, I still eat, an entire pot of brown rice every day, Yeah, I've known ones. They'd be shredded to the bone. Oh, Lord. So, yeah, that's pretty low though, man. The views that trickle down in here. I wonder how we get these views. I had one of them the other day. My coffee chat got 600 views the other day. But I also had that blue jean photo shoot thumbnail. I think that's I got to do more of that. All right. I haven't picked up any subscribers from this one. We have no net subscribers from this coffee chat. No super chats. Man, it's just not been that successful, y'all. Oh well, it happens. What you gonna do? Bad boys, bad boys. Oh man. Anything else? What else we have going on here, guys? The problem is it's hard to get people in. Once this dies down, we don't get any questions. I feel like you guys just stop talking. That food looks really good. Yep. I mean, that's all super clean bro food. That's all brown rice. I just got a bunch of sweet potatoes and cantaloupes yesterday. I'm going to go hard in them. I bought 7 cantaloupes yesterday. Yes, I bought 7 cantaloupes. They were on sale. Well, you say they're expensive. They were $2 a piece. What's up? So we're going to be adding sweet potatoes. I got about 5 pounds of sweet potatoes yesterday too. Joel says, have a 6-pack year round, not shredded, maybe 12%. I've never tracked calorie in life, just sold it because you're eating all whole foods and you work out. Like dudes who do that are going to get leaner eventually. Limitless, I don't track my calories. But I mean, we could assume I bumped my protein back down yesterday. I'm like, I'm just going to carb up and keep the protein moderate and just eat carbs and drop my fat down. I feel like 2 omega-3 eggs a day is all the fat I need. And I'm just going to carb it up with my fasting. I'll lose fat. Do you drink shakes? I just do one right now. I was doing a bunch. So as of yesterday, I'm like, look, I feel like I'll recomp faster if I just focus on carbohydrate in my feed window. And I can train with more volumes. Like I can hit those volumes a lot better. That conditioning work, I can take it up like I'm doing easily on mostly carbohydrate. But that's 4 dry cups of brown rice. That's like 2,400 calories of rice alone. Just my brown rice there is like 2,400 calories. Ballpark. But I had, a whole cantaloupe, broccoli, peppers. I had 1 pound of chicken breast, 2 omega-3 eggs, and 1 whey shake. I don't know. I didn't track the calories. How much a diet like that costs? For me, for that, I don't know, $10, $12 a day, maybe. Ballpark. I mean, I allow myself about a $400 a month food budget for me. That's kind of my food budget that I write out on my spreadsheet. All right. I assume you guys spreadsheet your monthly budget like an adult. Right. Everything has a line. All right. Budgeting and fixing my finances actually best thing I ever did for my fitness. Good call, Jason. There you go. I mean, you have to track your budgets though, guys. You have to. So I mean, I spreadsheet all mine. Like I have a line for everything. I have a food budget. I know this is what my internet costs. This is my phone. This is my lawn guy. Like you have it all down the road, right? You have an average for your electric bill plugged in. You just go down the road with it. It's pretty important. Good morning, Coach. What's up, Max? It's important stuff, guys. All right. And hopefully everybody understands. How often do you meal prep? I cook my food every day. I cook all of my meat in large quantities, so I prep it. I cook my rice every day. I bike to work every day. Never know if I should consider it to be cardio or not because I'm used to it. Lots. It's irrelevant whether you consider it to be cardio or not. Your body doesn't care if you call it cardio or not. It's cardio. Right? Your body does not care how you label it in any way. If I ate to appetite, but Joel, by that same token, I haven't regained weight since cutting a bit. Pretty much doing that now. But I also only have a feed window in the afternoon. So that's how I mitigate it. I don't eat before noon. And I'll probably drop, now that I'm cutting that protein shake out earlier, and if I just limit my feed window, I'll probably start losing weight again, personally, just doing that. Eating all clean. The main thing I have to be careful of, though, is fat intake. Right? I will way overeat dietary fat. That's my problem. You know. So even cleaner foods, like, so what will get me if natural peanut butter and stuff will get me really quick, even though we might count it as a whole food, right? Yeah. But we do need a context that I am so what I have to do with certain things with diet, I am a statistical outlier, and I'm fully aware of that. And I do make that point with people. But that also helps with my clients, because what happens if I get a client who's been over 300 pounds? I understand their struggles. And I think that's the problem with a lot of trainers. They try to give advice and they literally do not understand the true obese binge eater. They have no concept. And so they come up with this, oh, you can just eat whatever you want and track your calories in the flex. It's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for them. All right. Because people like us don't get satisfaction from the junk. It makes us hungry. So you literally just wasted 500 calories on something that made you 3 times as hungry. That's a problem. Because for people like us, those foods are appetite stimulators. They're not satisfiers. Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that. I feel satiated, right? No, they just make us get really, really hungry. Right? My heart rate never actually goes up because I go slow. I don't want to get sweaty before work. Traffic makes it really not feel like work. It feels equal to walking. Yeah, but walking is still less cardio. I mean, it still counts. It's still activity. I mean, keep in mind there's different types of cardio. Could you count it as less cardio? Yeah, it's less cardio. It may not be moderate intensity. It may not be high intensity. Natural peanut butter doesn't always. Sometimes it's most of it. The ones that I buy is just peanuts and salt. Literally, that's it. If that, if they even have, they don't even always have the salt. Sometimes they're literally just peanuts. Depends on which ones you buy, but a lot of them are. So, but they're just too easy to overeat. They're just so calorie dense. Right. Yep. So there's your context. But it's still, because it's blended up and it's super calorie dense, it can be really, and again, that fat. So for me, it's fat. I don't have a sweet tooth. People have these weird things. I'm like, I don't crave sweets. I never got fat because of sweets. I craved fatty foods. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't drink soda when I was really fat, but let's be realistic. It was the pizza or the way I would even cook pasta. Like, I'm known in my circles for being a really, really good cook. But, when I was overweight and young, I was like 19 years old. How would I make pasta? Okay. So for me, it would be, okay, so for the meat and the sauce, like we'll take the spaghetti sauce and dice up a bunch of vegetables and peppers and cook it in. So before I would even add the sauce, it'd be like, okay, we take the ground beef, and then I would take sausage. So I would brown sausage and mix it in. So for me, when I used to make pasta, it'd be like, let's take like a Czech sausage, like Chapel Hill. We'll brown it in a pan on the side so that you get the crispy edges to the sausage, right? And then I would mix vegetables, diced vegetables and stuff, and peppers and stuff into the ground beef. Then when that's done, pour all the pasta sauce. Then you put that in there also, right? And then sometimes I would used to cook with wine back then too. And then with the pasta, it was all about heavily salted pasta. And then, you do it and then put the sauce over the top separate. But then your pasta container, you have the whole container, you add it up, you got about 8,000 calories in that thing. And even if it lasts you a couple days, you're eating other meals and stuff. Or if you're serving it to other people, like, your calories are going to go real high. All that white pasta with all the really fatty meat. Okay. I used to barbecue a lot back then too. It was always barbecued sausage, brisket, whole chickens. But then I would also be eating lots of other carbs with it. Right. But I cooked with a lot of stuff like that. No, dude, I've been up 2 hours, man. We're hour 58 into the stream. I had a client with high growth there. I'm sure I have. All you have to worry about is, are they medicated or not? Like, for something like that, it's not your job as a coach to fix. That's their doctor's job. They give them the correct medications. But I'm not going to go into details with different clients and their medications. I think you have enough clients. Yes, you're going to have some with various thyroid disorders, but that is also for their doctor to dial in their meds, right? Also keep in mind with clients, a lot of my coaching is very individual needs. I would say less than half of my clients do we discuss their diet. A lot of people only hire me for the strength end. Also, so some people don't seem to grasp that. I provide the services that are needed for the client. Some of my clients literally only need lifting. That's it. So we wouldn't even discuss any of that's not relevant as long as they're properly medicated. Some of my clients, I'm very involved in their nutrition. Some of them, we don't discuss it and it's not a factor because they don't need nutrition coaching. You take big naps during the day. I sometimes take them. If you've been in a calorie deficit for 16 weeks and would having a big 6,000 calorie cheat day be beneficial in any way besides mentally? Probably not. I mean, you might replenish some glycogen or something you might need for training that week. But are you telling me you actually believe in the metabolic damage thing? That's been debunked, right? Not really real. So I guess my question would be, besides the mentally, I don't know, what are we looking for as a benefit? So future, what are you defining as a benefit? I think that's the problem. What are we looking for? Because the word benefit's a very vague term. Are you looking for muscle glycogen replenishment to maybe have a better training week the following week because your lifts are going down? Are you believing it's going to have some metabolic change? So what are we looking for? Right? Okay, now, but future, that's two completely different things. Biologically, this is not even remotely related. He does a carb up. You said calories and cheat day. Sorry, I lost the thing. Can you guys see me? We lost the stream for a minute. I had to reconnect. Okay. All right, you can see me. Okay. So you do know that the biological outcome is dramatically different between these two things. As long as we understand this, because this is a relevant concept in nutrition. You're thinking it's because there's a cheat day. So you're talking even like Lyle McDonald's Diet 2.0 did this a lot, to where they would do extremely high carb ups once a week, but it's all carbohydrate. That's not a cheat day. There's no pizza in there. There's no ice cream, right? So those sort of carbohydrate loading in deficit weeks it's carbohydrate. Do you understand? You're not eating 50 grams of fat. You're eating almost pure carbohydrate on those days. It'd be a moderate protein, nearly zero fat, ultra high carb load. Is not a cheat day. So this is based on evidence in the metabolic world. So when you take ultra high carb ups and you add hundreds of extra grams of carbohydrate with no dietary fat, someone on a deficit, in the lab, do they gain any body fat from it? No, they don't gain any body. None of the carbohydrate. They store almost no fat. Right? This has been demonstrated in the lab in direct humans being measured. Okay. What happens if you did the same number of calories, but you put in 200 grams of fat in it? What's going to happen? Even if the calories were the same, what's going to happen? You're going to gain some fat from it. Are these things comparable? One of them you will gain no fat. One of them you will gain fat. Is it the same thing? Is gaining fat versus not gaining fat the same thing? So do we understand the difference here between a cheat day versus a almost entirely carbohydrate carb up? Yeah, cheat day is going to have junk food and other stuff. On these sort of carb ups on that type of diet, you're like eating rice and fruit, basically. You're eating like no fat. All right, so what happens? Thermic effect, glycogen supercompensation, um, improves training for the coming week. You won't lose any fat that day, but you also won't gain any. So this is a common approach for stuff like the UD 2.0. It would literally be stuff like ultra low, almost entirely protein for 6 days, and then like a 7,000 calorie carb up. And that's actually a successful approach, but you are pretty much starving through the week because you might be doing, an enormous deficit. So someone who has a 3,000 calorie maintenance might be eating 1,800 calories of mostly protein. And then the seventh day, like 7,000 calories of almost all carbohydrate. Right? That's not a cheat day. So are these comparable? Not really. It is about calories, Joel. Did you miss I did a whole 10-minute talk in this stream explaining the flaws in the calorie in, calorie out model. The problem is people have dumbed down the calorie in, calorie out model. And I've already said this is a very infantile reductionist viewpoint that you say, oh, my maintenance calories are this. That's not how it works. Your maintenance calories are dependent upon what you eat. Like I don't want to re-give this whole speech. It was a 10-minute long talk an hour ago. I feel like I've made countless videos on this, and this is well supported. Like this is well supported in the lab. This is not Jason Blaha theory. This is extremely well supported in scientific literature. Your calories out can change over 1,000 in a single day based on what you ate in the same week. It has been demonstrated in the lab that women, not even grown men, this could be bigger for men. Women's maintenance calories can go up 1,500 in a single day by changing what they eat. Their calorie out expenditure on the same activity level. Okay, do we understand this? And calories out comprises thermic effect, things with uncoupling proteins, anything you excrete. So it is calories. Okay. So if your body gets calories that it cannot store, it has to do something with them. So let's assume you did a massive carbohydrate overfeeding, but because we cannot store carbohydrate, they've tried, we can't do it in the lab. We cannot store carbohydrate as subcutaneous fat. It can only store as visceral fat through de novo lipogenesis, and there's a very finite amount. So if you eat large amounts of surplus carbohydrate, you're just going to store any fat you ate, right? That's going to be stored because your body's going to burn the carbohydrate. But what happens to the extra carbohydrate at a certain point? Like we've seen in women 1,000 or 1,500 calories in expelled carbohydrate that we can measure. And the surplus that is no longer a surplus, you changed your TDEE. Your body has to do something with it, right? It's either going to have to store it, burn it, or expel it. There's no other option. Those are all part of your calories out. Anything that you crap out undigested is part of your calories out. You know this, right? That's calories out. If your body ramps up thermic effect and uncoupling proteins with massive body heat to get an extra 1,000 calories out, is that calories out? Yes. See where we're going with all this? If your body cannot produce enough insulin or other stuff and things turn into ketones and other stuff and you expel and urinate them out, is it calories out? Yes. right? So yes, it is about calories, Joel, but at a certain threshold, when you do that massive overfeed, one, there's going to be glycogen replacement. So you're storing it. Liver glycogen, muscle glycogen, then thermic effect through additional glucose being shoveled into muscle cells, into the mitochondria, uncoupling proteins, creating extra heat. You literally sweating out through sheer body heat an extra 1,000 calories. With enough overfeeding, that's what happens. So the net effect when they do that, they get a glycogen supercompensation everywhere. They expel out the rest as heat, and they go back into their deficit. The calorie in, calorie out model hasn't been violated in any way. It's metabolic trickery by people who understand how calories in, calories out works. Because calorie in, calorie out is not a method. That's where people mess up too. They're like, calories in, calories out doesn't work. What do you mean? It's not a dietary approach. Calorie in, calorie out is a biological explanation. Right? It's a biological explanation for energy balances and shifts in tissue weight. It's not a method. It's a descriptor. It's an explanation. Makes sense? I'm going to be right back. I need a couple minutes, guys. All right, we are back. All right, what's going on, guys? Y'all here? Anybody here? Everybody leave. Man, how do I only get 8 likes in a 2-hour stream? That's disappointing. Oh, man. Anybody? Everybody's just out there like, we left coach. We're all gone. This has been a fairly slow stream, man. For a coffee chat. Jason, are you training today? Yes, I'm training later this morning coming up. I might wind this down though, man, because this has been fairly uneventful. I got a fair amount of posting done, but I might lay down for a minute, collect my thoughts before we get ready to train. So I may roll out, guys. So I love you guys, and we're out.